Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be going over a note that was put out by Lightspeed for Final Fantasy XIV Mobile. Now I've glanced over this, and a lot of this are similar talking points to what Yoshida had to say in his IGN interview and in various other interviews that he's been doing with locations like Famitsu and so on and so on. But I figured I'd give it a look-see and actually read through it, see if there's anything in particular that clears up any confusion, concerns that anyone may still have about the game, which are plenty. And are plenty warranted, given that, I think I said it myself, the term mobile doesn't exactly come with the most positive of emotions from anyone at all. Even if there are games that we like that are mobile, I myself am one. It doesn't mean I'm instantly like, yeah! I'm like, okay. I'll wait. I'll wait and see. So we have this part at the start. Greetings, Warriors of Light. We're the development team behind Final Fantasy XIV Mobile. It's both exciting and a little nerve-wracking to finally connect with you all. After years of development, we're thrilled to share a bit about our journey of bringing Eorzea to mobile devices. So, for those who haven't been paying attention, the developer of Final Fantasy XIV Mobile is Lightspeed Studios. Square Enix is licensing out the Final Fantasy XIV IP, and the team at the Square Enix headquarters are eventually, as they say, supervising the project itself. That means while they're not responsible for any direct development, they are responsible for making sure that the IP is treated with respect. So probably means they take a few extra meetings on any given work week, but other than that, they are not hands-on, actually the ones programming anything for the game. Our journey began 5 years ago. That's crazy. 5 years ago. To think that this was under wraps for that long is, it's actually pretty impressive, I got to admit. When a small team of diehard 14 fans traveled across the sea to meet with Mr. Yoshida. To be clear, Lightspeed Studios is a Chinese developer, so yes, they do still have to fly across a body of water in order to get to Japan. Armed with a 100-page proposal. It felt a bit like standing before Bahamut Prime. We were confident in our preparation, but didn't know what to expect. Could we really secure the honor of working with this legendary IP? Fair enough. To our surprise, Mr. Yoshida didn't hesitate. Midway through our presentation, he pulled out a blackboard and started sketching ideas alongside us, just like he would before a tough savage raid. I mean, that makes sense. Yoshida is a raider at the end of the day. It was clear he believed in the project and that this was the first big step towards the mobile adaptation of 14. Through our translator, again, Chinese and Japanese, Chinese company, going to Square, Mr. Yoshida shared that he was deeply impressed by our dedication and love for the Final Fantasy XIV IP. He had always thought it would be nearly impossible to adapt something so complex and full of content for mobile, but our passion made him reconsider. From that moment, we knew we were in this together. Yeah, Yoshida, like I said, this is going to emulate a lot of stuff he said in the IGN interview, which I've already covered in a separate sponsored video. This is not a sponsored video, mind you. This is just me now continuing on from all of that. In that he basically said they kind of Square wanted to do something, but they were like, it's never going to work. And then they saw this and they were like, oh, okay. But 5 years, that's crazy. 5 years. I guess it's not the first time we've heard that. I mean, I remember us finding out that 16 effectively started with like a team of 3 in Heavensward. From the very start, our goal has been to respect and stay true to the original game. We want our adventurers to feel the same depth, immersion, and connection on mobile that they've experienced on Eorzea, on PC, and other platforms. 5 years later, that vision hasn't changed. I mean, that's nice, but everyone has reservations about what a mobile 14 actually does in terms of, I guess, respecting the IP. Because everybody, I mean, everybody thinks, you know, oh, stamina systems, gacha, which has already been, they've already said they're not doing gacha, and they do briefly touch upon monetization a little bit later in this, from what I glanced at it. And then they basically, we look at all of the standard mobile things and how all of those games are effectively designed to get you to spend money. Like whether it's an energy system and you don't have enough energy. I know as someone who's played Hoyoverse games, you know, I'm definitely like, you know what, I could save some of these primos for, you know, the next banner or whatever, but I really want to try to get the artifact for this character that I just got to see too. So I'm going to spend my extra primos, and then maybe you think, like those considerations, the game's built around even just making you make those little considerations. So that's automatically what we're going to think. And the depth, immersion, and connection statements don't mean anything until the game actually comes out and is played. We know that Final Fantasy XIV is much more than just a game. It's a home, a place where friends have been made and epic stories have unfolded. We understand that, which is why we're so dedicated to making this mobile experience authentic. This bond is something we're working hard to preserve in the mobile version, ensuring that it's still your Eorzea, just in the palm of your hand. Again, until we actually see or experience the focus and depth, that they called it, of the game, a nice little statement, but just no one's going to trust it by default. It's the truth of the matter. Almost everything here, no one's going to trust automatically. We can only take things at face value for now. Final Fantasy 14 Mobile won't be your typical fast-paced, bite-sized mobile experience. This is where it starts digging into some of the more mobile-related stuff. We're committed to offering a rich world where you can explore, enjoy, and connect, even if you're playing in shorter bursts throughout your day. Whether you're hopping in for a quick session or embarking on an all-night adventure, we want the game to feel unrestrained and fun. That's interesting, the idea. So obviously, when I think of mobile, I think a lot of like logging in to do my dailies. Like even with main 14, you know, the game is built still with kind of that in place. Like I log in weekly for Unreal, you know, Savage when it's new, Ultimate coming up after it's cleared, logging in weekly to get a totem, etc. There's a lot of effectively, I'm marketing my time based on objectives that are possible within a time frame. On a mobile, way more relevant. I think we've all at some point even played a free-to-play game where it's like, oh, spend 30 minutes doing your daily tasks and then 30 minutes doing this, and then, you know, now you've already played for an hour, but you haven't actually done anything new. So I wonder what a quick session looks like for them versus a quote all-night adventure. Because again, if you're applying these to 14 related things, then, you know, you would maybe just log in for 15 minutes to do like, you know, Allied Society stuff, which if it's a Realm Reborn here, you know, we know it's just going to be a Realm Reborn. It would be Beast Tribes again, but you know. So, okay, that's fine. For those of you who want a casual experience, fear not, the game won't pressure you with daily tasks or time-limited grinds. So, the daily tasks thing isn't it. I feel like that can't be true. Not because of even mobile, but because of 14. 14 is built on the idea of having, you know, people will log in for all their daily roulettes. Again, for tribe dailies, for anything that actually is inherently built with a daily restriction. Sometimes people will log in. So maybe they're just referring to specifically to the mobile style ones, which then applies to time-limited grind. So a time-limited grind to me screams Battle Pass. If this is saying that you won't have a time-limited grind, that doesn't mean there's no Battle Pass, actually. What game was it? I swear I played a game in the last several months, and I don't remember which it was, where the Battle Passes were permanent, and then they just released new ones on top of the old ones, but the old ones never went away. I don't remember what game that was, and it was a mobile game or like a free-to-play game. I just don't remember. I think I did a sponsorship. It was one of the games I did a sponsorship for. And it's possible that they could do that, but this would seem to imply that they don't want the usual, oh, you know, you have 30 levels and you have 45 days to get through it, and if you don't log in every day and make sure you do your dailies, make sure you do... That's what that reason they don't want that, which is surprising because I was certain that was going to be a monetization factor for them. And again, it still could be. If they do like a permanent battle pass and then you could choose to pay to upgrade it, it's just that it never goes away. It could be that they're doing that, but if they're saying there won't be a time-limited grind, there won't be time-limited grinds, I don't actually believe that. I think that's too big a promise that as soon as there's anything small that goes against it, they're going to regret having made that statement. Like, what if they decide to do like a collaboration? Like the mobile version of 14 is probably going to do collaborations, right? I'd imagine even more collaborations than main Final Fantasy 14. Are you telling me those are going to be permanent? Are you going to be able to work that out? Like, that's the problem, is even if it's like, oh, well, it's a collaboration, of course it's time limited, but somebody's going to come back to this and point that out, that they said that. Like, it's just one of those, like, you made too broad of a statement situations with the daily tasks and time limited grinds things. And I'm not going to hold them that strictly to it. But I am going to be curious to see if that just means they don't have the usual mobile huff and puff when it comes to making sure you get in to get your dailies, or you feel like you're falling behind kind of situation. You can jump in and out of Eorzea as you please, and our frequent updates will make sure whenever you return, there's always something new to enjoy. Yeah, the update schedule is kind of a question mark because there's so much content within Final Fantasy XIV for them to catch up to, and we don't know what their development process is like or how far along anything past release has actually been developed. But Yoshida seemed to imply that if the game was well received, they could just speed up the updates. Like, he made it seem like it was not an issue at all for Lightspeed to go faster if they really needed to. But then there comes the question, if Lightspeed's too fast, what if they catch up and then they have to like come up with their own stuff and then you're waiting a long time? So yeah, I really do wonder what the schedule will be. I have to assume they're going to do a lot of like stuff that's unique to the mobile game in terms of like events or bonuses. Like I'd assume they have to, right? Because even with 14 having all it does and having it, if they were to perfectly replicate everything in mobile, which is also a huge question mark, you'd catch up and then you'd be waiting 4 months between 2 different games. And I don't think they want that either, so they'd have to come up with something else in between. We also understand your concerns. Some of you may be wondering, can a game as expansive as 14 really work on mobile? Can we fit the riches of Eorzea into such a small device? I actually don't wonder that much. The original game was built with PS3 in mind, and I think our phones are a lot stronger than PS3s even are. So to like downgrade, to like go to, I guess downgrade the graphics, but like to go to an engine that's more built on modern technology is actually not as surprising as I think it should be. Like, it really should be more. I'm worried about the file size, sure, but like, it's not as surprising as maybe it would have been once upon a time. The answer is a resounding yes. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but like any warrior of light, we were ready for the challenge. We've been working to ensure the camaraderie, exploration, and adventure that you've experienced in large areas like the Black Shroud or the Sea of Clouds. Listen, the only time the Black Shroud was a big area was in 1.0, so you better not bring that back. Or the Sea of Clouds is just as immersive as mobile. That's a largely PR statement. You know, obviously, those of us who have played a long time, we would not associate. Like, yeah, Sea of Clouds is fairly large. All the areas with flight are. But I think more so just saying, yeah, it's going to be like the same thing. I assume that's what they're saying. However, our early attempts felt like tackling a savage raid without a clear strategy. We faced significant technical challenges. How could we preserve the seamless transitions of Eorzea zones? They're not seamless. There's a load screen between them, but, you know, sure. The grandeur of Ishgard or the beauty of the Tempest. Jumped up to that one. On mobile, how could we bring complex mechanics like ultimate raids? I'm shook that they brought up ultimates in this, because now, like, we've already been making jokes about doing DSR and UCOB on ultimate. So the fact that they jumped right to that as a comparison is pretty much confirmation that they plan to have ultimates here. So there's a big question about the gameplay, and I don't think it's addressed here from when I skimmed through it. And a lot of people think the gameplay will be stationary, and a lot of that's based on the teaser trailer where they are stationary. But in the IGN interview, Yoshida says you're going to be dodging ground telegraphs. And on top of that, the teaser trailer, you can't use that. The benchmarks, they all just stand in place too. They don't dodge anything in the benchmarks. They just eat everything to the face. And this was very much like a mobile benchmark style trailer. So I don't... So yeah, it's still wild to me that they went right. And then Fates right afterwards, right? Which is like, those are two really different situations. And dungeons. So it's literally too hot, too cold, just right for most people. That's a Goldilocks combination of comparisons they decided to make. So how can they bring those to a touch interface? But like any determined warrior of light, we remained undeterred by these obstacles. We called upon experts from every corner of the gaming realm, from server optimization engineers to user experience designers. That's what UX stands for. Together, we tackled each challenge with precision, testing, failing, and refining our approach like we were perfecting our rotations. All right, the analogies, there doesn't need to be this many analogies. Like, I get the trying to relate, but like, stop. Even if you are players, it's like that comparison, like the Bahamut Prime thing, like, it just doesn't need to happen. We're good. We're good. I smile at the attempt, but we're good. After countless iterations, we crafted solutions that preserve the immersive experience you know and love in 14. And we owe a great deal of thanks to the entire Square Enix team for their guidance and support. Their input from story and music to battle mechanics and art design has been invaluable in helping. You know, that's one really unique advantage that the team actually has. Is effectively Square goes, hey, we're licensing your IP. Here's all of the work you don't need to do. Like, you need to figure it out from like a technical standpoint how to do it, but we've already written the story for you. We've already got all the music made. All the dungeons and boss mechanics are already made, so you know you'll need to redesign them, but like you have everything. Your art design is already done. So they really they needed to make sure that the game worked and like had it on like a working engine. So it's largely a technical thing. It's probably pretty, I mean, it took them 5 years still, but I'd imagine it's probably pretty nice to be able to just focus on the technical things and to be like, okay, all this other stuff's taken care of. I mean, it's a licensing deal. That's expected, but still, in this particular case, it's probably extra helpful. All that has been invaluable in helping us stay true to the spirit of Final Fantasy XIV. We're still refining the game and working hard to make sure it feels just right. We didn't want to rush this journey, and we're confident when the time comes, you'll feel at home in Eorzea on your mobile device, whether you're a seasoned veteran or a new sprout. Yeah, even as a seasoned veteran, it's largely a curiosity thing for me. Don't get me wrong, like as a content creator, I obviously see the opportunity to produce content on the same game 2 different times, you know, to show the differences between how the mobile device is doing things, review it, play through it, and potentially have something that maybe, even though it's the mobile version, I still want to play it in the off season. Like, it really depends on how it's built. But a new sprout, I've seen a lot of people very question about the new sprout sections. Like, who is this for? As somebody who's played, like I said, a fair share of mobile games and free-to-play games, let me tell you, a lot of the other side of the world, the eastern side of the world, and the southern side of the world, South America, massive. Like, that's the thing. Here in like a lot of the Western countries, and I'd say really, especially in America in particular, a lot of us feel like you regularly see the sentiment from circles that are more vocal, like, oh, this is not like gamers don't want this. And it's like, well, no, a lot of them don't, but a lot of them also are either okay with it or do want it. It's just not in America. There's just so many countries out in the world where a phone is more accessible than most other things. And that's probably what the target audience is at the end of the day. It's not even for the people necessarily who already play 14, but they know there's going to be some overlap between people who do play 14 and want to play this and people who don't play 14 and want to play this. So that's more than likely the target audience with the new sprout sentiment as a whole. Whereas the seasoned veteran is really, again, just looking for that Venn diagram of interests, I suppose. People like me, I suppose. We aim to gather feedback from players across different regions, so we'll begin by conducting tests, including monetization, in various regions globally. So the beta test sounds like they will happen everywhere, and then it'll launch in mainland China, and then it'll launch everywhere else. Now, the interesting thing is including monetization. So what can they monetize at this point? If they were to, in a perfect world, accomplish everything this says, everything Yoshida says, what do they monetize? First of all, a MOG station equivalent. Let's be honest. The main game, Final Fantasy XIV PC console, our main retail game, could probably fund the development of an entire mobile game on the Fantasia sales alone. If this is popular and sells Fantasias, do they even need anything else? Like, quite frankly, dude, if they did an affiliate link for 14 and like I could just have an affiliate link, people could buy Fantasia, I would be able to retire. It could be like 0.1% of the sale, and I could probably just like open up an investment and just retire off of the interest in like 2 years. Like, it's insane. So let's just say that's one facet, but I assume all of the usual stuff that's purchasable on our MOG station would then have an equivalent here. Some people are wondering if you have the PC version, if those things will carry over. I don't think there's going to be any carryover at all. I think there's going to be a bonus maybe for linking the accounts in some way. Like maybe you'll get a free teleport or something, like another free teleport location in the main game. And maybe you'll get some sort of like new player bonus thing, or like some sort of like veteran player bonus thing in the mobile game. I don't think like if you've made purchases on the MOG station, it's going to recognize that or care about that here, because it's probably going to be a more built-in system. It's probably not going to send you to a third-party store like ours does. This is likely going to be a built-in store that has all the different glams, all the different stuff. But I suspect it'll be a lot of the same items that are showing up in that store as there are in the ones in the Final Fantasy XIV store, because they could just give them the assets and be like, hey, you know, this is part of your monetization. And I don't see why they wouldn't do that, because we already do it. As for other game features, I can't imagine that's it. Like, I can't imagine they just have the, I get, they're like, oh, we don't need, this isn't like make a ton of money with gacha game. Like, I get that. But even still, I have to imagine that they'll not, like, maybe, so the website says decorate your cozy home, which seems to imply everyone will get a house in mobile 14. Like the server infrastructure is built to actually allow it. Maybe they sell stuff, maybe like a size increase of the house, maybe some like furnishings and stuff as well that you can't earn through the normal way. Again, there are furnishings on the MOG station, so you know that's totally up for whatever. But until we see that, we again, if we need to see if there's an energy system, we need to see if there's like number of raid tokens. Like, for example, like what if you could only do like 2 extreme trials a day naturally? And again, I know that their statements contradict this stuff, but they're the things you have to consider because they're the things that make sense when you start eliminating other things they're saying they're not doing, like gacha, or their statements that mention that, because we're all inclined to believe it has to make money. It does. Like, there's no doubt about that. But even for slow and steady revenue, we all assume there's a way for someone to whale. And I don't think that the MOG station equivalent, MOG store equivalent, would be the only way somebody could choose to whale. I don't know. It's just, I'm not built to assume that. And I don't think anyone else is either. So what they're testing that includes monetization, we will be watching that like a hawk in various regions globally. From there, we will first launch the game in mainland China. After we gather further feedback and make any necessary adjustments, we'll gradually expand to a global audience. So no matter where you are in the world, stay tuned. We're excited for everyone to experience it. Thank you for your patience in walking this path with us. The adventure is only just beginning, and we can't wait for you to be a part of it. With gratitude, Final Fantasy XIV Mobile Development Team on November 22nd, 2024. So yeah, like I said, a lot of this just parrots what Yoshida said in his IGN interview, but it's still being reiterated and a lot of stuff that people will just not inherently trust. And there's no reason for them to. Especially in the last few years, words from developers, promises from developers, they just meant less and less. That's the bottom line. And to be a team fighting with this kind of IP and making it a mobile version in that landscape of an industry, like honestly insurmountable denial from people that is completely warranted. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they deliver something that is good. Everyone wants to know how many buttons we'll have. I personally think we'll have at max 6. I think 5 actions, though. I think just 6 potential spots to put them. I think a PvP style combo, 2 offensive abilities and 2 support abilities. And then those offensive and support abilities, when used, will transform into secondary skills. So it ends up being like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It becomes like 11 or 12 actions in that case, just from the continuations, the potential 2-part. Like, if Warrior has an inner release button that becomes Fell Cleave, and then Fell Cleave becomes whatever their new skill is called. I'm literally logged into the game, and you think I would remember this because I've played Warrior a whole bunch, but like my brain is just disintegrating right now. Primal Ruination, or like you'd think like me. Oh no, wait, no, not even Primal. Yeah, Primal Rend. What if they had it become 3 Fell Cleaves into Primal Rend into Primal Ruination? That's all 1 button. That's technically 4 skills. It's just 1 button. We already saw Bloodwedding in the trailer. We saw Fell Cleave in the trailer. We saw what looked to be a new Butcher's Block animation where they like jumped in the air. So clearly there's at least a decent number of skills. I just think they're all going to be confined to those few buttons, but that's a huge question everyone has. How can they feel immersed in the gameplay if the gameplay is too simplified and it's made for mobile? So fair question. Monetization, like, statements are good. Results are better. That's the end point, the end note of all of this. But yeah, I just figured I would go ahead and share this. I said I would keep everyone up to date on this stuff, and this is me doing that. So with that, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned. Not just for this, I am going to be doing my ultimate race on Tuesday. Going to be world racing in that. That's going to be live on both Twitch and YouTube, so you can watch it on whichever platform you prefer. And we'll be going ham 12 to 16 hours a day with a little break on Thanksgiving, so people have a little bit of time with their families, the few people who are going to actually see them. Just like an hour or 2, somewhere in there. We don't want to deprive them too much of the turkey and the good food either. And then, yeah, we'll be pedal to the metal. So most of my uploads starting next week will be Ultimate Prog. Maybe I'll do like a daily diary of like my mental. Just break down my mental on things I think that need to be overcome for the following day, personal goals for the following day, personal reflection, stuff like that. But yeah, it'll be all Ultimate related stuff for a good long while. And then Path of Exile 2. Gimme. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, take care.